Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to talk about volume. We're going to look at high volume, low volume, and what would be considered normal volume. And I'm going to help you guys understand what these concepts actually mean in the real world and which is best for you guys. Before I get into this topic, if you guys need any coaching, check out the link down below. I would love to help. All right, so let's dive into things. I'm going to take a few notes here. I'm going to share a few thoughts, help you guys kind of weed through the seed of high volume, low volume, and regular volume in the real world, right? Because a lot of times what you hear in the lifting community from these influencers or from these YouTube voices, information on super high volume, information on super low volume. Is it practical? That's kind of the question when you're looking at this. Is it practical from a scheduling standpoint? Is it practical from a programming standpoint? Is it practical for you? Is it practical for results? So first, let's start with what I would consider moderate volume, the best place to start when you're programming in general. Moderate volume, let me just note this down here. Moderate volume is generally going to be about 4 workouts a week. So we're going to look at about 4 workouts. And each workout is going to be about 18 hard sets. That's a good starting point for a workout. And each workout will probably last anywhere from 70 to 75 minutes. So 4 workouts by 18 hard sets a week would equal 72 working sets a week. This is a really decent starting point for someone that can train 4 workouts a week, 4 times a week. Now, this is a key that we really have to focus on when we're talking about training volume is the realistic time in gym. A lot of times when these influencers are talking about this stuff, it's kind of silly because we don't have the time to spend at gym to do really high volume programs. So now, again, I can't stress enough, this is just a reasonable starting point. You guys can change things or alter things or vary things based on preferences. So if we're looking at 72 hard sets per week, we're going to first focus on the more major areas, which are going to be our quads, back, delts, and chest. We're going to focus on about 12 sets for chest, 12 sets for back, 12 sets for quads, and 12 sets for delts. How you apply these, how you structure these is up to you. But this is going to be 48 total sets for the major areas. Now, this leaves us with about 24 sets for the more minor areas. The biggest minor areas you want to fill in here are going to be your biceps, your triceps, and your hamstrings. So we're going to kind of fill that in first. You can do anywhere from 6 sets to 9 sets if you want. Usually what I start with for biceps is 6 sets for triceps. Now, invariably, someone will say, isn't that a little bit on the low end? You can always add more, but understand we're trying to come up with a realistic starting point for the average lifter, and there's only so much you can do on 4 workouts a week. So we want it to be balanced. We want it to be intelligent. You're working your arms hard with your chest and back and delts work. So if you want to add in a little bit more for your biceps and triceps, you can. What I typically do is start here, 6 sets for hamstrings. Now, you can see this is 18 total sets. So here we have 66. This leaves us with 6 extra sets to play around with for really anything you want. It could be traps, abs, calves, whatever. You could also, if you wanted to, move this up to 9. And then you have 24 total sets. And there you have your 72. So this is a reasonable baseline for anybody that wants to train 4 days a week. If you want to add in some minor stuff on top of this, you probably can squeeze it into your workouts without bloating your workouts too much. So just understand that this is what would be considered moderate volume. It's not high volume. It's not low volume. I'm going to show you next what it looks like when we get into the world of higher volume or more training days per week. Now, as I've discussed, this will take you probably 70 to 75 minutes a day, 4 days a week. It could take a little bit longer depending on your strength levels and your experience levels and how packed your gym is. So you might need to dial this down a little bit, or again, you might find that you have room to add in a little bit extra, and that's okay. But if we start talking about high volume, and we've seen some of these experts toss around some pretty high volume work. I've seen some folks toss around like 25 sets for chest, 20 for back, that sort of thing. Let's kind of look at what high volume would be in the extreme, and then we'll kind of dial that down a little bit back to the real world. So just ignore this part right now. We're going to focus on high volume according to some of the more extreme standards. You could have 20 sets for chest, 20 for back, 20 for quads, and 20 for delts. I've seen some folks doing 25, but let's just start there. That would be 80 total sets just for your major body parts per week. And we're going to reverse engineer this and figure out how much time a gym this would take. And let's say you just bump this to 12. You could do it to 12 to 15. But let's just say we have about, 33. So this right here alone would be 113 sets per week. Now, if we want to understand how long this is going to take, 18 hard sets, again, usually takes 70 to 75 minutes. So if we look at 113 sets, we have 6 workouts a week times 18 would be 108 sets. So you're looking at 6 training days a week at about 70 to 75 minutes in the gym. Is this doable? Is this possible? Yes. You could absolutely do this if you wanted to go high volume. I would probably not consider this unless you are super able to lift every single day and you are able to strap on the feed bag and you are younger, you have a lot of time on your hands. But you can see just from a common sense standpoint, when someone starts to talk about higher volume programs, moving to something like this really isn't feasible for the average individual with a job or school demands. And plus, it's going to be really difficult to recover from. You could run kind of a push-pull leg 6 days a week using this dynamic, and it would shake out to about this amount of volume per week. So I would tell you that if you want to venture into the higher volume realm, I would probably back this down a little bit and work in a little bit more recovery. This is a little bit more reasonable volume for the average individual that is not trying to beat the crap out of his body, but that wants to train a little bit more. So you have about 16 sets for each major body part, and you could keep this anywhere from 9 to 12 if you wanted to. 9 to 12 sets for biceps, and 9 to 12, and 6 to 9 for hamstrings. And again, you could work in other things there. So let's just leave this at 33 at the top end and about, what do we got, 24 at the low end. So this would be a maximum of 97 sets per week, 97 hard sets per week, and a minimum of 88. If you look at this, this would be about 5 workouts a week times 18 hard sets would be about 90 sets. So you're looking at about 5 hard workouts a week. This is something that if you have this time and energy available, this would probably be the maximum amount of volume I would advocate during the course of a week. Any more than this, and I just feel it's a little bit unnecessary. Now, there's going to be folks that are going to comment in the comment section and say, I've done it, I've run more volume than this. That's fair. There are some people that can handle it. There are some people that can do this, that have the amount of time, that have the recovery capabilities. But I will tell you, all the comments aside, no matter what you do in the gym, you need to focus on maximizing every set. We don't just arbitrarily add in volume. what's the point in adding in volume if we're not trying to make every set count, right? Just adding in junk volume just to say we have more volume. So focus on hard training, and from there you can add in more volume if you want. Now we've looked at high and moderate volume. Now we're going to look at lower volume. And honestly, this is where a lot of individuals fall. A lot of individuals that have demanding careers, demanding school schedules, just the average lifter that doesn't have all the time in the world to dedicate to training. Now, low volume is often framed as number of sets per exercise, and you can look at it this way, but whatever you're doing when it comes to low, moderate, or high volume, you really should frame it as the amount of volume you do per week. This is the best way to analyze volume, not sets per exercise specifically. You could do a low volume program and still do 3 sets per exercise. You could do a low volume program and for some exercises only do 1 set per exercise, but always keep that framework of weekly volume. So for our high volume programs, we had 16 sets for chest. For our moderate, we had 12. Here, we're going to drop it down to about 8. We're going to say we're going to do 8 weekly sets for chest, back, quads, and delts. Now, we want a little bit of arm work in here. If you don't, you can drop it. If you don't like all that direct arm work, go ahead and drop it. For your hamstrings, you could do 3 to 6. So up here, we have 32 total sets. All right, so we have about 15 to 18 sets for biceps, triceps, and hamstrings. That puts us at about 50 sets total for the week, anywhere from 47 to 50 sets. So if you look at this, this is actually going to be 3 workouts of less than 18 hard sets per day, more around 17, but we don't really have to adjust that here. You guys are smart enough to figure that out. So low volume would end up being about 47 to 50 sets per week. This is something that would work well with more of a full body program, or you could do kind of an upper posterior program, something I teach in the Massive Iron World. You can also do the torso limbs and rotate that 3 days a week. Basically, when you're doing like the torso limbs, which is your upper body and then your legs and your arms, your limbs, you have 4 total workouts and you rotate between those workouts. When you're doing the upper posterior, the same thing. You have 4 total workouts and you rotate between those workouts. Basically, you do 3 workouts a week, but you rotate between the 4 total workouts. That will incorporate a little bit of frequency training because you're basically training every area 1.5 times a week. So don't think that when you go on a low volume type of program, you necessarily have to jump to full body. There are many, many different ways. And if you're not familiar with the upper posterior or the torso limbs, drop a comment down below or hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman. Now, what about those that really, really want to go crazy low volume? This is what I would consider crazy low volume. Let's just drop things to 6 sets here. And we have 24 total sets. And then let's say we want to do 2 sets of 2 exercises for biceps and triceps, and maybe about 4 sets for hamstrings. We have 12 total sets here. This would be 36 sets. And that would be 2 to 3 workouts a week of about 12 to, what do we got, 18 sets per day, depending on how many days a week you train. So I would consider this ultra low volume. Is it feasible? Yeah, you're going to get some gains out of this. Is it what we would call optimal or where we should be? Probably not, but there might be some seasons in your life where you need to train with this ultra low volume. You can see you're still going to get a lot of bang for your buck out of this type of program. You're doing 6 sets for chest. You could do 3 exercises of 2 sets apiece. You could do your dumbbell bench, your barbell bench, your dips, or whatever you want to do. You're still getting in a quality exercise selection. You're not sacrificing exercise variety too much. And you could still get in 2 sets of 2 exercises for biceps. Or if you wanted to, you could work in 1 set for some of these on chest and do something radical and then leave some room for some extra variety. So there you have it, guys. I hope you see when we have these discussions online, or when the influencers or the YouTube gurus have these discussions online when it comes to high volume, it basically has to be framed at what we're capable of doing in the real world. It has to be practical. You can kind of see once you get above 16 sets for every major area of focus, chest, back, quads, and delts, then you start to look at training 6 days a week for 70 to 75 minutes a day. This is the sort of thing that is hard to recover from. It can beat up your body. You can encourage overuse injuries. There are seasons that I have done it, and you can certainly do it wisely. But I would advocate, if you want to train 6 days a week, maybe consider using more of the high volume 16 sets of chest, back, quads, and delts, rather than overstuffing and maybe doing a little bit less work on each training day. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what the most volume, weekly volume you've trained as far as sets. I'd love to hear it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.